I love this quote. It says, "The oldest and strongest emotion of mankind is fear. And the oldest and strongest kind of fear is fear of the unknown." And so you're going to have to forgive me. We just got off of office hours inside of our membership community. And so I'm feeling a little like amped up and like, you just have to throw it all away. You just have to get stuff out of your house because, on one hand, I see how much this clutter in our homes is holding us back. It's keeping us stuck. It is making our lives so much harder. It's impacting our mental health. We're feeling more stressed and more anxious. But I also understand the fear that is related to just going through with a black trash bag and getting rid of all of this stuff. So today I want to answer your questions. There's a lot of questions that have come in, anything from life update to decluttering to just fun questions too. So I want to do a lot of Q&A, and I hope we can just like have a cup of coffee and visit together. But also I did want to talk about this idea of fear, because as I was just kind of like recapping our whole office hours and the questions that we answered, I was like, I think fear is at the root of most of it. But when we can get past that and we have a powerful tool for getting past fear, it unlocks just a whole world, right? And so let's talk about this just a little bit more. So how fear comes into play. And even as I look back over the last year and a half, all the life changes and everything that have gone on, I think most of us can look back and say, anytime we were feeling stuck, we were feeling unempowered, what's the word? Disempowered, we were feeling hopeless, anxious. It really was feeling fear of the unknown, because a lot of us know things we could do, but it's this fear that creeps in. And I've heard it said that for many of us, we would rather live with our current discomfort and our current familiar discomfort than step out and risk the unknown. We let this fear hold us back because the familiar pain is easier to deal with in many ways than that fear of the unknown and not knowing how things could play out. Now, when it comes to decluttering our home, I think that there are things we can do to take away a lot of that fear. But with a lot of these other big life decisions, even, a lot of the questions are like, how are you doing? How are the kids? How is everything going? I'm realizing that like there is still like we're still in the year of first and different things, and over like still actively overcoming that fear of was this the right thing, am I doing the right thing for the kids, are they going to be okay, helping them work through their own fears and their own unknowns. And so I think everywhere we look we can see this. And but collectively, if we stick together and encourage one another and share our experiences, right? Like we really rely a lot on others' experiences, then we can say, okay, what's the next step forward? Maybe it's not the full big step that maybe we're feeling that maybe we need to do, but what's one next step? And I really think that only comes when we do stick together and we encourage one another, or we say, hey, in this area, I'm one or two steps ahead of you. So I can say like, okay, keep going. I don't know the whole big picture and how this is all ultimately going to play out, but I do know this, right? I'm glad I took these steps. I'm glad I got here. And obviously when it comes to decluttering your house, I am like, 3 steps ahead, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like, please keep coming. Like, it just keeps getting better and better. I can't believe how much, simplifying and decluttering my house has made my life so much easier and has made these other things that have been going on so much easier to navigate. And so I do think that is where the power of us sticking together is, because fear comes in and it wants to derail us and stop us in our tracks and be like, don't go any further, right? Like, you don't know what's up ahead. That's a very natural thing for our brain to do. Our brain wants to keep us safe, right? But for then us to be together and be like, oh no, actually, like, keep going. Like, it just keeps getting better. And this, yeah, that's a scary step you have to take right there. Like, step over the big hole in the path. Here's how you can get around it, but like, do keep going. It's going to be worth it. And so I do want to let you know. I mean, I'll always try to be upfront. If I'm going to try and sell you something, I do want to let you know that our Take Your House Back course is on sale right now for just $94. And our next All Day Declutter is coming up a week from Saturday, so Saturday, October 4th. And this is just where we spend the whole day together decluttering. And so if you need a group of friends to come around you and say like, hey, keep going. Hey, here's the best tactics. Hey, like you have permission to toss that in a black trash bag and move on. May we please do that for you. So you get the access to the All Day Declutters, but then also there's a full course that goes with it. So I'll have details in the description. I don't want to spend a lot of time on that right now, but I do always try to be upfront if I'm going to try and sell you something in something like this. Full disclosure, just so you know, but also I believe in it so much, and so much incredible work gets done on our declutters. And then the rest of the core stuff and the other stuff we do throughout the year is awesome too. If you're busy on Saturday, October 4th, we do a live hosted replay on Sunday. So we replay all of the sessions, and you also get access to them. They're stored in our course and you can go back and revisit them. Many of our members go back and play past All Day Declutters because we go through specific areas of your house and they just have it on in the background. Because again, we need someone who is a couple steps ahead on the path saying like, no, you're not going to miss it. Let it go. Toss it in a black trash bag and let's move on. So I do want to get to answering questions, but just again, as I was thinking through the questions that came up during our office hours and also the encouragement that other women were saying, I think what we landed on is we have to figure out ways to declutter faster. Like when we look at our current life right now and the amount of extra time and energy that we have to dedicate to decluttering and the sheer amount of volume of inventory in our house that we have to declutter, we have to figure out faster ways to do it because we don't have the luxury of sitting here now and holding up each item and be like, well, should I keep it? Should I not? How much should I pay for it? Where could I donate it? Is there someone else, who could use it? If we take that amount of time, even 30 seconds or a minute for each item, it is going to take us years, right? And so I've really appreciated on like even recent videos and everything. There's been a lot of comments saying, thank you for giving me permission to match the inventory in my house with my season of life right now, whether it's getting 4 kids back to school and just feeling like it, still no routine or rhythm, right? Or you're dealing with chronic illness or energy limitations, caring for aging parents, just stressful relationships in your life, a demanding job. Thank you for giving me permission to get rid of stuff quickly so I can match the inventory in my house with my season of life right now. And that is so powerful when we can grasp that idea. Again, it's that fear of, but what if I get rid of it and I could have used it? What if someone else in my family could have used it? What if I look foolish, right? I think a lot of it comes back to like, but what if I make a mistake? And that fear, how that can really paralyze us and keep us from doing what we actually believe would be in the best interest, not only of ourselves, but of our family as well. And so again, as we have been, talking about this more, and we just go over and over again in our membership community, that we have all decided now that we probably just have to throw stuff away. Like you actually have to get a black trash bag and just start throwing it in. And even friends in our group who are like, that wasn't me in the past. Like I felt like very strongly that I had to find just the right place for things to go to. Now, even many of these women are like, I can't. Like I have to throw it in a black trash bag and I have to, toss it in the bin and move on, or I have to just put it in a donation box, bring it to Goodwill. I don't want to get into a Goodwill debate. At the end of the day, they will take your stuff without giving you a hard time about it. Most locations, right? What a great service that they are providing. I don't care what they're reselling it for in the store. I don't even care so much where all the profits are going. I think they are doing a lot of good. And I'm tired of people being like, oh, Goodwill's so bad. If that is the easiest place for you right now to get rid of stuff and to get it out of your house, will you please do that? Will you load it up in the car today and just bring it there, right? And so we can't be a hero in our donating. We have overconsumed for too long. We are drowning in stuff. And again, we don't have enough time in our day to really deliberate over each item, both whether we should keep it or not, and then where the best and highest place that it could go could be. But again, I know how we get into decluttering and we kind of get turned around, right? And we're like, we go in and we're like, I got my black trash bag. Here we go. I'm going to do this. And then we're like, oh, but my mom gave that to me, or my sister, or the kids made it, or what. And we're like, wait, what am I doing? And so again, when collectively, if we stick together, whether it's just putting YouTube videos on in the background, whether it's joining, the Take Your House Back course, however we can put community around this, do this together, we have to keep dismantling that fear and being like, no, you made that fear. You look at what you did. Like, you let it get all big again, right? Like, it's not that big. It's not that scary, right? But I believe that comes from community and from having others around us who value the same thing right now and are on the same path. And so whatever that looks like for you, I just feel so strongly right now, we have to get this stuff out. And also, I have the luxury of every day hearing stories from women who are like, I got it out. I cannot believe how much more peace of mind I have, how less anxiety. I feel more confident in myself. We got to talk with Marilyn in our group today. She lost her husband 4 years ago. And I was like, Marilyn, how many dumpsters of stuff have you gotten rid of your house? And she's like, I wouldn't even know. I can't count. And she's like, I would not go back and take any of it back. She's like, don't keep the stuff. Like, it's not worth it. And so now, she's gotten through this season and she's getting to do things that she actually wanted to do in retirement and getting to enjoy that. And I just really appreciated her sharing that perspective, because again, I know how when we're in it and we're in our storage room or we're in our craft room and we're looking at the stuff we spent money on, how we can beat ourselves up and we can let that fear come in. Don't make a mistake. Don't make a mistake. You have to do just the right, perfect thing with it. And that's not the truth, right? That's not the truth at all. We have to have grace for ourselves. We have to look at the bigger picture, and we have to be able to say, like, yeah, I did spend money on it. I spent a lot of money on that. I thought I was going to do this, but you know what? I'm looking at the data. I haven't gotten to it. I'm not doing it. And so I am going to, take a risk. Like, I'm going to work to overcome this fear. I'm going to let it go, and I'm going to be okay. No matter how it plays out, I believe I will be okay. And I will get through this, right? All right. Well, there is my rant for this morning on that. But I do want to turn my attention and answer questions. So I always ask for them on Instagram because it's like they just organize them so neatly for us, and it's really easy to get through. So you can follow me on Instagram or not, but nonetheless, I'll answer them here. So, when you hear people say like, oh, I asked for questions on Instagram, that is why, because it's just so nice and neat and easy to get through. But again, there is a link in the description. If you want to join Cass, Dana, and I in the Take Your House Back course, do the next All Day Declutter with us. I'm telling you, we will dismantle fear. You get Cass going, I mean, like, you will get so much done. And I love hearing the stories after our All Day Declutters, because women are like, I got way more done than I even imagined. It is a time multiplier, energy multiplier. Even if you have limitations in the bits of time you do have, you're going to make so much progress and you're going to feel so good about yourself. All right. So, I generally like to kind of organize the questions, but I think we'll just start going through them. I'm just going to try and get through them as quickly as possible. So they're like anything from personal to decluttering. On the replay, I'll put some timestamps here too if you want to skip around at all. Let's see. Mom of 3 and seem to walk in circles with decluttering and clutter piling up. What to do? So again, if we're still feeling like, it's just like my house isn't working, this feels hard, there's piles on the counters, it's a sign of 2 things. Too much inventory still, so we have to keep decluttering further. But I like what Cass said recently. We go live in the Take Your House Back course every 2 weeks. And she was like, if there is stuff piling on your counters or any of your flat surfaces, it means you don't have an easy location for it. And so do you need to clean out the drawer there, the cabinet there? Do you need to move other stuff out of that space that you're not actually using to make stuff for the stuff you're using? Or do you just need to get rid of it? And so we're always looking at, is it an organization thing or is it just a declutter further thing? And so we declutter, we add in some simple organization, and we assign everything a home. I used to rebel against, you hear that quote of like, a home for a place for everything and everything in its place. And I'm like, yeah, that's what organized people say. But I realized the reason I couldn't do that was because I still had too much inventory. So when you declutter and simplify, then that actually becomes a lot easier, and it's beautiful. It's wonderful, right? A place for everything and everything in its place. Your brain knows where it is at all times. Your family knows where to put it away. It doesn't mean they always put it away, but it's a lot easier for them to do that. You're setting them up for success in this area. Oh my goodness, that changes everything. So probably you need to declutter more, and then make sure you have an easy place to put everything away. Um, yeah, how to encourage a mother-in-law with generations of items that we will be stuck with. Highly recommend read the book Keep the Memories, Lose the Stuff by Matt Paxton. So you know him. He was the host of Hoarders for many, many years. He has some other like Filthy Fortunes now shows out now. And he's married to Zoe Kim, who is a minimalist. So they're like a powerhouse team. But um, check out that book, Keep the Memories, Lose the Stuff. I think that is the best roadmap, and creating common language with parents. I think it's super helpful. Let's see. What's your top 3 places items to declutter first? So we talked about this a little bit in my video last week. If I were to give you 3 action steps right now: 1, totally clear your kitchen counters. Number 2, create a uniform. Very simple to get dressed in the morning. It doesn't have to be a black t-shirt and jeans, but go through your closet, create a uniform. All that means is you walk up to your closet in the morning and you just pull something off and you get dressed. There's no thinking about it. Everything is an option for today. And then also to do your dishes daily. Now, that's not a decluttering thing, but that's a home maintenance thing that will help keep the rest of your house feeling good while you're working on decluttering. So I'll put a link. We have those 3 things broken down into 5-minute videos. And so if you are interested in just going a little more in depth, those would be my first 3 assignments for you, though. That you will see a gigantic difference if you will just do those 3 things. Let's see. I have MS. I used to be so proud of my house. MS gets in the way of an organized home. I am so sorry. And you are 1000% right. Anyone that is dealing with the chronic health issues, energy limitations, all of this, I am so sorry. Or bandwidth, right? Depression and anxiety. What's so frustrating is that you often have enough hours in the day, right? But you're just so like your bandwidth is so limited. And so that's where I was talking about 2 weeks ago too, when I showed the like office declutter and stuff, how we have to pair inventory with bandwidth, not hours in the day, right? We have to manage it by our actual capacity to manage stuff. And so I would really encourage you to, if you haven't, check out Courtney Carver. So she also has MS, but that was the catalyst for her minimalism and simplifying journey. And she just talks so much about managing her energy and how much she had to declutter her stuff so that her home worked with her health, stuff going on and her season of life. But I mean, now, ironically, right, she was like, well, even if I didn't have MS, oh my goodness, this is like the way to live, right? But that absolutely was the catalyst for her too. And so she shares, she's wonderful. I love everything she shares. And she has books. She's also the one who created Project 333, where getting your clothing, under control. So anyways, I would encourage you to check out her more too. How are you doing? How are the kids? So it was our birthday. I always say our birthday because, I have a twin sister and it's her birthday too. So I've never known a birthday on my own, which is beautiful. And I love it. So we turned 43 this week, and which is awesome. Birthdays, I think since I turned like 35, I've always just felt like so much gratitude on my birthday. I'm like, hey, this is awesome. I've made it to 43, right? And so, so it was good. There's still like sadness around it, I think, just because it is still the year of firsts and all of that. And so it was like a day of feeling like so much gratitude and having so much love around me and all of that. We had dinner here at my parents' house, and then Diana and Princeton, and then the kids came down, and my dad and brother were like, hey, why don't we get a fire going? It was beautiful here in Minnesota. Like, we've had such a nice fall so far. And so we were all out by the fire. It was cute. Diana's kids. So she has 4 kids as well, but they're almost 2 through 7. And so her 5 and 7-year-old, sticking sticks in the fire and starting them on fire and running around and almost burning each other with them, but it was just so fun to see them with that. And so anyway, so it was good there. Again, there's still a lot of, mixed emotions around it all, but good and getting better. And school with the kids this year, we have two homeschool and two online public school. And wow, I just, so we don't start till after Labor Day. So we're only about 3 weeks in. It is kicking my butt this year. Now, on one hand, I am so glad our house is so simplified and we have so little inventory to manage, so I can kind of dedicate more of my bandwidth to it. But there's just like, just so much to continue to learn. Adeline's in 10th grade, Maggie's in ninth. So there's just high school things. And then Corbin and Gage are in fifth and seventh, right? And so, middle school, high school, there's just like so much, and there's technology things and all that. So it's been good. I feel like we're finally getting things kind of dialed in. And in a way, I've been the extra time with the kids of helping them with all their school stuff has, it's been really good, I think, for all of us. And I feel really connected with them right now. And also it has like taken all of my time and energy, right? And so it's good. I have it to give right now, but there's always the like would like to do things too. That I'm like, oh, I'd like to do that. And we'll do 5 days to an organized Christmas this year again, and later in October, and I'll share about that. But I'm like totally revamping it for this year. I want it to be like, I want to take everything we've learned over the last 3 years and just make it like awesome. And so, and I love pouring like creative energy into that. And so like part of me is like really wanting to be working on that. And then I'm like, oh, I got to do school stuff, right? So anyways, it's good. I feel like we're all getting into good spots now and all that. But yeah, there's still the daily, ups and downs too. Let's see. Yeah, what about your faith? I kind of ranted on faith in my most recent update. And so I would say it's just like I feel in a good place about it, even though it's different than what it looked like in the past, like quite a bit different. And so I think my only hope with that conversation is just to normalize like questioning, normalize saying, like, you know what, even though I've been taught this and told this, it doesn't make sense. Like there's a term called cognitive dissonance, and it's when you're told one thing but you experience something else, and it's that tension in your brain of just like, what am I, is there something wrong with me, because it seems to make sense to everybody else, why doesn't it make sense to me? And when you actually then start to examine it, you're like, oh, maybe there's more to this thing I was told or taught, or maybe it's not even that it's wrong, maybe it's just not the full picture, right? And so just for us to be okay with questioning and exploring and learning new things and learning new perspectives, that it's not wrong or bad to do that. I know there's, again, talk about fear. Like there's so much fear that we're going to get off course or, whatever. I think God knows, like, right? So I think we don't have to worry so much about each other in that regard, and trust that, like, yeah, this is a very normal process, and that we don't have to like let fear come into it so much. I'm probably not saying it as well. See, when I record a video, I can go back and edit it and make it much smoother. When I'm live, it's a little bit different. How do you not let negativity bother you? Yeah, how do you not let negativity bother you? Right? Again, I think I've heard it said that really everything comes back to love and fear. And, any kind of hate acts or anything are born out of fear. Right. And so sometimes when, negative things are coming my way or whatnot, or I do start to worry about, a decision I've made or whatnot, it can be really helpful to say, like, well, what is the fear at, the root of that? And if others are, projecting negative stuff onto me, like, okay, there's something, they're fearful of something. Either I'm saying something or doing something that is bringing up a fear in them. And, what's hard is, up until a year ago, I could actually let that stuff roll off my back pretty easily. It's like, it's not me, it's them, right? Like you can kind of like see it for what it is, and it doesn't really get to you. But also I wasn't sharing as personal of things back then either, right? And so now it's been harder, and I've had to like really actively work at it, and I've had to like figure out ways to shut down my brain when it starts ruminating on some of those things and rerunning them. And so, that's where just like understanding, like if my brain just is really getting going on something and I'm like feeling stressed about it, or like, oh, did I, just rerunning, did I do the right thing? Did I do the right thing? now I know like I got to shut that down. And it wasn't as hard for me in the past, but now I feel like I really actively have to do that more. And so it's like, do I need to go for a walk? Do I just need to load the dishwasher? There is something, usually something active, right? Getting our body moving helps our brain to switch out of that and to get back into a more logical state of mind. But anytime we find ourselves ruminating on something, it's because our brain is wanting to solve it. Our brain is wanting to keep us safe. Our brain doesn't want that to happen again. And so recognizing that, I mean, like, okay, what can I do to like slow this roll, doing something active. And then also too, like, is there a fear at the base of it, And we used to have a therapist on the radio with us when Diana and I worked in radio. And he would often say, well, let's play the worst case scenario game. And all right, let your brain go there. What is the worst possible thing that could happen? Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes with our kids and stuff, like when, especially as they're getting older and they're driving and different things, like our brain can go real far with that one. So I do want to recognize there are some times where it's like maybe not the best exercise, right? But most often the things that we find ourselves ruminating on or worrying about is like, okay, what is the worst absolute thing? Like I'm fearful of, worry about decluttering these things or whatnot. Well, worst absolute thing, I decide I could have used it and I have to somehow figure out how to reacquire it, or I don't, but I feel bad about it. Okay, can you survive that? Yeah, I can probably survive that, right? But I did just want to acknowledge that I've found more recently, again, because my bandwidth has been diminished more, that I've had to actively work at it more. And there are days where it is just tiring, right? To get your brain under control and to shut it down. But I do know that the more we practice it, it does get easier. And again, like I've said, bringing community around us, I'm so incredibly fortunate that I have like supportive people around me, whether it's, my sister or my mom or my brother that will listen and help dismantle it or, help unravel it, like what actually is going on here. Right. And a lot of times as women, we do need to talk it out a little bit. So finding, safe people to do that with. Now, I know they're sometimes hard to come by, don't get me wrong. But how fortunate if we do have someone like that we can be like, all right, can you just let me, talk this out for a minute here. So anyways, sorry, I said I was going to answer questions quick, but yeah, I definitely, that one hits home for sure right now. Are you still investing in rental properties or real estate? No, I'm not. And, I don't know. That's just one of the things too. Like, I don't know, what does the future hold? I think I I've had difficulty looking towards planning out. Even I feel like I've been living week to week for the last year and a half. That it's hard for me even just to think about the future right now, and I know that'll change over time. And so, and on one hand, it's good, right? I feel very like today is what we're guaranteed, and that has definitely even how I look at decluttering now too is like, and I've shared this more recently, if we're not using it today, what are we doing trying to store it for tomorrow, as if we can somehow predict the future and know what we're going to use. And that's been a very common theme in our membership group too, of us really realizing how little inventory we need and how those perfect days where we think we're going to have all the time just so rarely come. And so on one hand, I'm really grateful for it because I do feel like it's very much like like just enjoy everything you can for today and let the future worry about itself. Now, I don't want to get too short-sighted, but also I know it'll come back around where I'll be able to make more long-term plans again, but I don't even want to like stress or worry about that right now. And so, and there is something nice about just being like, like permission just to worry about today and just the things you need for today, and set your environment up for that. So, ooh, how do I make a fair chore chart for my kids? Um, yeah, I think, well, partly it's realizing kids are always going to think everything's unfair. So there's that. So in one way, it's kind of a fool's errand. But if it depends on the ages, you could have rotating tasks. So, that would make it fair that, this week this child loads the dishwasher, next week they do. The only reason I like shy away from that, and we had really locked into for about 2 years, every kid just had their own area that they focused on. And some would say, like, well, shouldn't you rotate them so they're learning all the skills? Yeah, they all knew how to do all the things. It was just so much easier that everyone knew what their job was and where they needed to go. But with that being said, because it was like Adeline would do the kitchen, Corbin would do the living room and entryway, Maggie did the laundry, and Gage would do the bathrooms. I might have the boys swapped, but whatever. We would make adjustments. So if it seemed like, oh, okay, Maggie is like, hers is taking longer, it'd be like, okay, everyone has to put their own clothes away. Maggie's going to take them out of the dryer and sort them. You all have to then take your pile and go put it away. Right. And so we would just make adjustments as we go. I think that's all we can do. We've talked a lot about like collect data, look at the data. What is the data telling you? And so I think that is that willingness to be flexible and to make adjustments as we go, and to say like, and to tell our kids like, hey, I desire for this to be fair. So we're just going to try it. You're going to give me feedback. And like I have one that thinks every single thing I do is unfair. Right. So also I have to take that into consideration as well. Ooh, how did you know you were done having kids? Torn on number 3 or not? Well, I would think if you're still not feeling decided about it or at peace with the decision, then maybe like, do you have to make the decision right now? Can you continue to collect a little more data? I've shared this before. It's like no secret. Like I wanted to have 6 kids. I don't know why. I had in my brain 6. After 4, I decided, I'm like, I don't think I physically want to have any more. I ended up having 4 C-sections. And luckily my doctor was great about it. His wife had 6 C-sections. So he's like, I'm not going to limit you or put fear into you about that. I think there's very little, risk with continuing to have more. But, and then Tom was like, he wanted to have 2 kids, right? So then the joke was we compromised on 4. I had thought maybe at some point we would, do foster care and adopt more. Somehow I thought maybe 2 more kids would find their way into our lives. It didn't. I obviously I'm so grateful we have 4 healthy kids. But I would just say if you're not at peace with being done yet, if it still feels like a back and forth, then, unless you have to close the door on it right now, then, continue to collect more data. I don't want to share Diana's personal business too much, but that was definitely something I've been watching her in Princeton walk through right now. And, and one feeling more strongly than the other on it. And so they've just been giving it some time. And I know there's a lot of pressure sometimes to keep kids close together, like space just the right amount as the other kids or all that. But, at the end of the day, if we can take some of that pressure off, and I think that's probably the best thing that we can do. Valerie says, surgery laid me up for months. Ideas to restart decluttering with very limited energy. So our battle cry in our membership group is 5 minutes matters. So setting the timer for 5 minutes. And Valerie, I would really focus on keeping your flat surfaces clear. Flat surface clutter is so stressful to our brain. And I've talked about this more recently too, but a mishmash of stuff is very stressful to our brain. Our brain wants categories. Our brain just wants everything categorized. It wants to know like, that's where paper goes. That's where this goes. That's where returns go. And what happens often around us, especially if you're coming through a hard season like this, is it's just a mishmash, right? There's just clutter and it's mixed up and our brain is just like, ugh. And so one of the easiest things we can do is to just sort it into categories. So you say, I don't have to solve any of this today. All I'm going to do is look at my kitchen table where all this stuff is piled, and I'm just going to sort it into categories. And I'm going to work for 5 minutes. And if I get tired or I'm overwhelmed, I'm done. Right. But that act of sorting it, grouping like with like, it gets the wheels going again. It dismantles again the fear of I'm not going to know what to do with it. This is too hard. That's why it cluttered there. And you're like, okay, well, I do know what to do with that thing. Okay, I can throw this, old stuff away. And so it breaks down that barrier. And even then when you're not working on it, your brain's going to be working to solve it in the background. All right. I do want to answer for those of you who are on live. I'd love to answer your questions as well. So if you put a question mark in front of it, it does make it a little bit easier for me to grab. Anne says, how do you manage simplifying schedules? I feel like our house is fairly under control, but with school started and activities and birthday parties, things are feeling too busy now. So I think it's often we feel this tension of a very busy schedule and we just don't know what to do. And so I love the book Simplicity Parenting by Kim John Payne. And he is a psychologist. I don't actually know what his title is, but he has worked with tons of families. And one of the stories he shares is he's from Australia. And then part of his education he did in Europe. Well, I'm mixing up the story. He also worked with refugees, but I can't remember exactly where, at a different part of the world. And so he worked with these kids in refugee camps. So he saw childhood PTSD like hands on, and the impact of it, and the how it displayed itself in these kids, right? What the symptoms of it were. And he said what just floored him and boggled his mind was that then he went to Europe and he started working with families there, suburban families, middle income, and he started seeing these same symptoms of PTSD in the kids there because they were overwhelmed by their schedules and everything that they were having to do. And to the extent where he recommends, like, if your kids have a busy day, let's say you go to the zoo or even just a full day of school, that they have 2 days at home to recover from it, 2 days of not anywhere to go or structured or having just playtime, open time, free time, 2 days to recover from one busy day. And that to most of us is just like, well, how? I mean, they have soccer every night or this, right. So again, the tension you're feeling is because this is unnatural. This pace we've been keeping is so unnatural for all of us. And so we feel it, we sense it, but we think like, oh, it's just because I'm not organized, or I have to do a better job with my scheduler. Yeah, we've let a few too many things creep in, but we're not being ruthless with saying like, no, it's too much. Like it is too much for our kids. Now, again, a lot of us know this, we're sensing it. The actual act of cutting it back, it's tricky, right? And people aren't going to understand and they're going to judge and you're going to feel like, oh, but are my kids missing out on these opportunities? I will tell you, we only did taekwondo and piano lessons with our kids. And then a couple years ago, this girl started getting into theater, but even that I liked because it was like contained. It'd be like 2 months at a time. And I have no regrets with it, that there was tons of opportunities that we did not take advantage of. No regrets, none whatsoever. My kids are very well rounded. They are, level headed. They're, emotionally can regulate themselves pretty well. They have good life skills. Okay, maybe when it comes to sports, they're like not the most skilled ever, but it's okay, right? And so again, fear though, how the fear keeps in, we're going to socially look awkward, where my kids aren't going to have the skills that they need. And what I love, I've been sharing a podcast recently by Dr. Becky Kennedy and Jay Shetty. She is a parenting expert, and she talks about, and this is something I had thought and felt for a long time, that your kids are not learning the best life skills and teamwork and all that from soccer. They're learning it from chores at home, having to be a part of your family, learning those dynamics, responsibility, having things like feeling like they're a part of that is more beneficial and impactful to them for them being part of a sport team. And so that role in your family, that being needed, being relied on, having responsibilities is more important than them having a sports team experience or other team experience like that. And so I was really glad to hear that. And I think if we start there, and getting our home running smoothly, having enough time for just what it takes to run our home, then add on the other stuff. I feel like that's kind of the approach we took. And I had the luxury of being a minimalist when my kids were getting into the age of all these things. So my mindset was already a little shifted. So I do acknowledge that. And sometimes it feels like we get into it and I can't go backwards now, but it's not true. And I've even seen some, parents will say, we're just taking a season off. Like, okay, we're already into the fall stuff, but all winter, we're just taking it off and just see how it goes and how it feels. And I love the question of asking, like, will this matter in 5 years? If we take a season off from basketball or hockey or other extracurriculars, will it matter in 5 years? It may or may not. It depends on your kids and your family. And I'm not saying take, all the things your kids love away from them, but really look at it objectively. Let's see. I'm new here, wondering what prompted you on your declutter journey. You have so much wisdom for such a young woman. Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. So it was having 4 kids, ages 4 and under, and feeling like I was drowning in my house. And I had started my first blog at the time. It was called I Think We Could Be Friends. Well, it's still out there. And I loved like the creative outlet of that. I didn't like the writing the blog post. I love the marketing side of it and getting it out there. And so I had contributors and then I would promote it. Like that was the fun part for me. And I wanted more time to work on my blog and I wanted to be a good mom. Like, don't get me wrong. And so I was just searching for like, how can I manage my house better? And I came across a podcast with Joshua Becker, who's a well-known minimalist. And he said this, infamous line: did you know you don't have to have all of this stuff? And I was like, no, I did not know that. Right. I thought this is what you have when you have 4 kids in a house and all that. And so over the next year, I decluttered about 80% of our stuff. I've since gone further. And I realized I did not miss it. I felt better. I didn't realize all this stuff, how it was mocking me and saying, like, you're a loser of a mom. You suck at housekeeping. Like, don't even, crappy wife for sure. Right. It wasn't until I got it out that I was like, ooh, like, that was sending me really negative messages. Now we call it, the silent to-do list or whatever, but I didn't know that at the time. And so, yeah, that was 10 years ago. I have never looked back. I've only gone further with decluttering and simplifying, and it has radically changed my life. And so now that's where I'm like, I want to like grab a black trash bag, get it out of your house. You're not going to miss it, man, you're not going to miss it, not going to miss it. And like, I want us to stop laboring over these decisions so much. It's just stuff. Like keep it in its proper perspective. I know how it gets inflated and contorted and we have these weird emotional connections, but again, that's why we hang out together, right? And keep reminding ourselves, you're not going to miss it. Throw it in the black trash bag, move on. You don't have to feel guilty. Your mental health is more important than all that crap, right? So, all right, I do need to land the plane soon to go do some schoolwork with the kids, but let's see. My in-laws keep talking about wanting a more organized home. Having decluttered my home, I want to offer my mother-in-law help in doing more than putting stuff away. Any tips? Yeah. So we were actually just talking about this. One of our friends, Valerie, in our membership group, has been going through this with her parents. And so what she said, she just committed a time every week. She's like, every Tuesday, they knew I was going to show up. And we started small. And often using the word organize is better than declutter. But she's like, we started small and I gained trust with them and they knew I was going to keep showing up. And so I think it's small projects consistently is how you're going to help them in the long haul. It's not setting aside a whole weekend and renting a dumpster. They're likely not going to be ready for that right away. So start small and gain trust with them. Yeah. How do I find motivation to start over again after failing several times? Old habits die hard. 1000%. Again, like, so that fear is in the back of your brain. I've tried this before. I've committed. I like, again, I want to sell you a course, but this is not my motivation behind saying this. You need to have people around you that are holding you accountable, where there's dates and times on the calendar. They're reminding you why you're doing this. They're giving you permission. And then you're hearing the experiences of others that saying like, okay, I got rid of my craft supplies and I lived to tell about it. Right. And so again, with our Take Your House Back course, we do have a payment plan available as well. So just so you know, if you did want to split it up into the $94 into 3 payments, that we do have that option available as well. But I do think however you do it. Now, if you have super cool people around you that can help hold you accountable, like putting on YouTube videos in the background. But I feel like the piece for those who have like, I tried, I failed. It is bringing in more accountability and people around you to help you with it. And thank you. I'm seeing many friends who are like, I'm in the Take Your House Back course. It's awesome. Just so you know, we have a full 1 year, 100%, no questions back, money back guarantee. We believe in it this much that like, if you get a year into it, you're like, it wasn't the thing. I didn't use it or whatever. No questions asked. You just ask for money back and we will give it back to you within a year. Like we believe in it that strongly. We're not like, oh, you got access to it or this or that. No, we want you to be successful. We want to come around you and support you and cheer you on. And again, often the question comes up like, how is the course different than your YouTube videos? Like Dana, Cass, and I, we all have YouTube videos because we're actually like coaching you. We're in the spaces and we're working through it together. It has a much different energy than when we're just relaying information and, short, quick, we know for YouTube, you got to keep it moving. You got to be hooky. You got to, but that is just straight up like side by side decluttering, saying, oh, I have this, you can let that go. Like it's, here's why you don't need it. You don't, so it has a much different feel. And there's something about the energy of, we have like 3,000 women on an all day declutter. There is something about the energy collectively of us all coming together and we're sharing our successes and wins and we're giving away prizes and we do some fun games like over the lunch hour and stuff. It energizes you. It gets the ball rolling again. So even out of the all day declutter, that you have the energy and momentum to keep going, plus the resources too that we provide you with. And so it's hard sometimes for me to describe it because it's hard to like tell you like how great the energy feels on that day. And especially if you have been feeling stuck, tired, overwhelmed, a little bit down, anxious, how if you just like get yourself into this group, we know like, what do they say? Like, you're the sum of like the three people you hang around with the most. Well, let me tell you, if you hang around with Kath, Dana, and I for a little while here, you might be a little quirkier, but man, you're going to have a decluttered house, right? Like, yeah, guaranteed, or your money back. There you go, right? How does the course work for someone who has already made tons of progress? Good for you. I have empty cabinets and drawers in every dresser, but I know I need to go further to make my house easier. Yeah, I mean, I would say it's for anyone at any stage. Obviously I'm a lot further along in the journey too, but I can still always find stuff to declutter. It's quite remarkable. So it really is for whatever stage you're at. I believe we'll be able to provide motivation for even those final layers of the onion of like, I have space for it. I do use it occasionally. Why would I get rid of it? And be like, because it's still inventory that you have to manage. And once you get rid of it, you're not going to miss it, but your house is going to feel even better. Like you're already feeling peace, but you're going to feel even more peace. So yeah. And again, if you get into it and you're like, man, maybe, I don't know, it wasn't so helpful, we'll give you your money back. It's totally fine. So I have a link in the description for that. But, I never want to miss an opportunity to say thank you. Thank you for all of your love and support and kindness. And, that most recent life update video I did, anytime I put myself out there, or definitely when I talk about like faith and relationship stuff and all of that, I'm like, I try to be so careful with how I say it all, but you just never know like what is going to come at you. It was so much love and kindness and support. And I just like, I was blown away. I was so humbled. I'm like weeping as I'm reading the comments. So thank you. Your encouragement just matters to me so much and has made such a huge difference. And definitely keeps the negative comments from wedging in quite so deeply, right? So thank you. I am so grateful for you. I am so glad that we can do this together and stick together and go through hard things together and remind each other why we're doing this. Getting your house decluttered is so important. There's a lot we can't control right now in our lives for most of us, but we can control our house, and that physical act of bringing it into order, don't underestimate it, because it really can help you start to feel on top again and make some of these other things that are going on. It doesn't take them away, but it makes them a little bit easier to navigate. All right. Well, I love you. I hope you have a really good day. And hopefully I'll see you on the All Day Declutter. But if not, I'm sure I'll see you in between as well.